can't find a park. I thought it was appropriate, and I think it is time, or I wouldn't have been here now. So yeah. So first of all, thank all of you for coming, and all the folks that put this together. It's an interesting story how it came about. I won't get into that, but it's fun, and it's fun to be here. Particularly Toby, Terry, Ellen, Peter, Vanessa. You know, you guys, know how to do it. Yeah, so that's great. Thank you, Miss V. So, on that note, Vanessa and I worked 10 years, and through a lot of, struggles, expected to, make stuff from biological systems which aren't always easy to reproduce. I've tried to stress that to Vanessa. Sometimes she doesn't understand that. But anyways, and fortunately, without a lot of swearing. Although, fortunately, also, my French is not so good. So, but seriously, Vanessa has become really an authority on all things DNA around here. Really on her own, and filled in for Kevin like seamlessly, and ran with it, and has followed Kevin's can-do attitude. I've never heard her tell anybody no. She couldn't do anything that they asked. And the story was, Kevin and I would be like, oh yeah, we can do that, and then it's like, how the hell are we gonna do that? Anyways, so thank you for being so good. And and I promise I won't go on all evening. But would be remiss not thanking Cricket. Today was my first day home, and by about noontime she said, "You got to go back to work." So, anyway, stuck through me through thick and thin, up and downs, all that. And been a pretty big week for us because we just celebrated our 30th wedding anniversary last week. So, I don't want to claim there hasn't been any swearing in that relationship. And Cricket is known to show me some pretty good at sign language. One of her favorites is the double, fish sticks. Yeah.
I don't believe that.
And that seems to be coming up a lot lately.
You ain't seen nothing yet, eh?
But anyways, speaking of thick and thin, a short story. Cricket and I were running the boat up from the Chesapeake in this past July, and on the final day, we woke to pea soup fog in Old Saybrook, Connecticut. We waited a bit to see if it would burn off. The forecast said it might, and when it looked a little bit like it would, we headed out of the inlet and into Long Island Sound. It wasn't burning off. In retrospect, maybe we should have turned around. The boat does not have radar, so it was a little spooky running in pretty slim visibility, but we put a waypoint in and headed out. So, and blowing the foghorn and going a little slower than we would have. And so somewhere between Point Judith, Rhode Island, and Block Island, Cricket was steering, and I asked her if I could spell her. So I did, and I looked down at the compass, and I looked up, and there was a freighter in our wheelhouse. No, it was much closer than my heart. Fortunately, it was not. It was anchored, and when it was not about to run us down. But it took us a few minutes to figure that out. Let's see. This thankful Cricket was up on her CPR because I was pretty close to needing it. So, and as the dead and others claimed, and Bob claims, Kramer and company, and I truly believe them when they say that. That's right, women are smarter. Smarter than the man in every way. Thank you.
True that. True that.
All right, so I got it on here again. We don't have all day. So I'm very lucky to have a run of mentors who have taken an interest in me and helped guide me through. Don, from the beginning, some 30 years ago, taught me a lot about combining science and business for the good of science, not only for the good of business. Jim. He also showed me outside of the lab, you know, how to never be afraid to take new challenges. And I'm not sure you all know that Don, at about 50 years old, taught himself how to sail and to navigate offshore by the sun and the stars, celestially. Just pretty serious stuff. Don asked me shortly after I started in the lab if I would help him deliver the first Lidocainus up from St. Barth. I think he knew that I knew my way around a boat, and honestly may have been one of the reasons he hired me. And he knew I liked the 30-hour weeks, too. So we flew into St. John over that hairy approach, and as we got out of the plane, I was a bit shaken and awed from the flight. Don pointed to the runway where a rusted-out Volkswagen bus sat on blocks with a couple of West Indian guys with dreads inside and said, "That's the control tower. Welcome to St. Barth." It's a little different today. So after a couple of weeks at sea and many challenges, including a gale that lasted about 48 hours after we left Bermuda and left half the crew out of business, Don and I traded watches around the clock until we made landfall in Beverly. Most impressive to me was not only that Don learned to sail, but to navigate with a sextant as well. Most of you probably know how to use your GPS on your iPhone. It's not the way it worked. So to shoot the sun and the stars with a sextant on a rolling vessel at the precise times of day and to do the complicated calculations involved to figure out longitude and latitude, pretty crazy stuff. He tried to show me. It wasn't happening. Thanks, Don. Dave Wise, most of you did not know, was also an inspiration, who most of you did not know was an inspiration to me. Dave was kind of I have whippersnappers, not the best word, fresh out of UNH when he was hired here. And he and Rico shared a pod in the old building, were best of friends. Dave didn't last too long though. The debilitating muscular disease slowly took him. I was dumbfounded. Dave never once uttered a word of sorrow for himself. In fact, I hardly knew of his disorder until he was almost gone. Have tried to carry Dave's courage and attitude when life doesn't look so easy. Thanks, Dave. Dave Wallace. I was hoping he was not here, and I don't think he's here. And Rick already broke the ice, so. Dave was, and it's interesting that we use very similar adjectives here. Dave Wallace was a cranky, brilliant guy who never had much good to say about anyone. I'm not sure why, but he let me follow him around the lab for years while I soaked up as much of his knowledge as I could. A story. Dave and I rented a truck and drove to Philadelphia to Temple University, where we disassembled and brought back one of our 300-liter fermenters. Hopefully it's in the museum somewhere. Dave and I don't think Price is using it. Dave and I and Mo built up the new vessel to Dave's specifications. That was quite a learning experience for me. Just one of the many I got from Dave over the years. Thanks, Dave. Kevin Kelly and Peter Goldfarb. Don't mean to throw them in the same basket, but both those guys, with their demeanors, have influenced me in countless ways. The work ethic and scientific approach with humor stayed with me. Rick Grandoni, although he likes to, Rico's ability to motivate and manage with his low-key style is always will be an influence on me. Thanks, Rico. And as far as where his new tasks take him, I hope you know, with all my heart that if he is given the charge to really see that we, or you, maintain and improve our sustainability practice here, that he is given the support and the means to do so. I believe the pursuit of capitalism and unwieldy growth does cloud our and others' vision to do over and above what we think is enough. The Pacific plastic gyre is beyond scope. It is not only fouling our oceans, not the only one fouling our oceans. And if we think for a minute that we're not somewhat responsible for this plastic with our excessive use of plastics here, we're not thinking clearly or being honest with ourselves. I understand we do okay with our recycling efforts, but not nearly enough in my opinion. And we should be doing more, better, using renewable energy sources, I believe. Good luck, Rico. Okay, so Diana, I think, was the one who started me thinking, oh, wait a minute. Okay, so like a lot of things in life, it is not what you find when and if you get there. It is about how you get there and what happens along the way. So don't fret. You too will retire someday, whatever that means. I was thinking about that. Am I supposed to put tires on my car? Am I supposed to, I'm not sure what retire means. Am I tired from being here and now I got a rest to retire? I don't know how any of that works, but I'll let you know in a couple of weeks. Anyway, enjoy the ride, and as the late great Warren Zevon would say, enjoy every sandwich. So, Diane, I think, was the one who started me thinking about the idea, and I am almost done. I can see some
Take your time, Pete.
of a graduating class when she retired some short years ago. Now, as far as the class of 2015 goes, I'm honored to be part, maybe all, of it. Those of you who know me know that I'm not much of an academic. But in this case, it's pretty clear that I am graduating at the top of my class. My co-conspirator, who is indeed one of the smartest and classiest guys I know, is being held back. The reasons are not clear. The reasons are not clear. Maybe an incomplete or two from last semester. But the fact is, he's not graduating. Therefore, I see no other option than to accept the nomination for the first in the class. And my mother will pretend to be so proud because she won't believe it. Thank you all, and I'll be available for autographs and selfies with the immediate employment.